Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Chattanooga. I am Reverend Mandy Goheen. My pronouns are she, her, and it is my great honor to serve this congregation. First of all, I want to say what a pleasure it is that none of you are sleeping in on Sunday today. But let's be clear, I also chose a church to serve because your service is at 11. No 7 o'clock mass for me anymore. So please join me in our land acknowledgement. At UUCC, we acknowledge that our church sits on Cherokee, Muskogee, and Yuchi land. We are a people of covenant with each other, not a covenant with a divine dictate or something somebody bossy told me to do. It's something that this church wrote together. This is how we get along both here, and we can use this as a tool when we go out into the world. Please read the covenant with me. We journey together, bound in the interdependent web of existence. We embrace diversity, own our conflicts, and assume good intentions. When we fail, we begin again in love. Justice and compassion shall be our watchwords. Beloved community, our goal. I was in with the watchword. Okay. As we learned, we light a chalice, and it's a representation of religious freedom, a place to center yourself, a place where you can worship freely in a way that you choose, but also in community. Skip, you look excited. I like your yellow. Would you please rise and lead us in our chalice lighting words? Sure. Oh, of course I will. Everybody follow Skip, and I'll light the chalice.
In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share.
Thank you. I know. Also, I would like us to take a collective moment of silence as I light the white candle. The white candle is representing our prayer for ceasefire and release of all prisoners. So it is a tradition in this gathered community that we rise in body and or spirit and greet our neighbor right before we start singing, if you are comfortable. One of the things you might want to do while you're up moving around is there are songbooks back here. If you would like a hymnal, we're going to be singing now the gray hymnal today, right? Yeah. Gray hymnal today. If you like that in front of you, you're welcome to grab one. It's a time when people who are not comfortable greeting their neighbors are invited to just stay in their seats and smile if you want to. We are a place that believes in consent and participation, and you gathered are who the church is. So please rise and greet your neighbor. It is our time for all ages, and anyone young or young at heart who would like to come forward and listen to a story. All right. Oh, I will not be doing that in front of y'all. All right. Watch me get down a little bit different. Ooh, okay. Okay, so do you sleep in the day or the night?
Night.
You sleep in the day. You sleep in the night. You do both. I do both. Who loves the dark? No? Okay. Well, this is a story about a child who didn't love the dark. What?
I don't really care about the dark.
You don't really care about the dark? And I've read this before, but it just went so well with today, and I think it's okay for us grown-ups to hear the same story on repeat sometimes. So once there was a child who got lost in the woods. Yikes. As night began to descend, the child became more and more frightened. I'm sure any of us would be frightened too in this situation. But what made this child even more frightened is that he had always been afraid of the dark. He was more afraid of the dark than any of his friends, than his siblings. He didn't know why he was more afraid than his friends or siblings. He only knew that when the sun went down, he was always very glad to be inside his brightly lit house. When the sun was way down and the only light was just a tiny bit of light from the moon and stars, the child got so frightened, all he could do was sit down and cry, which he did. Soon he heard a voice say, "What's all that racket?" He looked down and saw a mole. You know what a mole is?
Yeah.
Little squinchy eye. They live underground. He must like the dark, I bet. He looked down and saw a mole squinting up at him. "I'm lost in the woods," he said, "and it's dark and I'm afraid." "Well," said the mole, "perhaps you could take your noisy crying farther down the path. I hate having to come up out of my warm, comfortable, dark hole to tell people to be quiet." The child heard another voice. "Go back in your hole, Mr. Mole. I'll take care of this." The child looked up in the direction of the newer voice that seemed to come in and out of the darkness, and he could see two glowing eyes that looked down at him. Who? Before he could scream, which was his first impulse, there was a flutter of wings, and the creature flew down near him. He could see it was, you were right, it was an owl, right? "Please excuse me, Mr. Mole." Shh, it's okay. "Please excuse me, Mr. Mole. Mr. Mole, he hates to come out of his nice dark hole for anything, to be honest." At this, the child burst out crying even harder than before because he was frightened and it was dark and now animals were talking to him. That would actually be kind of scary, don't you think? Yeah, right? Like, we don't expect that.
I want to pet the owl.
Okay, well, be careful. It has a beak.
I know.
"All right, no need for crying," said the owl. "If you just give me your address, I'll guide you home." And with that, the child did indeed stop crying, partly out of relief that someone might be able to lead him home, and partly out of curiosity of how a owl would know how to locate his home without the address or GPS. But deciding he had little to lose, the child choked back the tears and replied that he would be very grateful to be guided home by the owl. So this strange pair headed off through the dark forest, and what the child truly hoped was the direction of his home. When his fear left him just a little bit, the child looked around and thought the moonlight was dim. He began to notice his surroundings a bit. At one point, he noticed a kind of flower that he'd never seen before, and slowed his pace just a little so he could gaze at it. "That," said the owl, "was an evening primrose. Do you know what? There are some flowers that bloom only at night. Did you guys know that?"
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's some flowers that glow at night.
Glow at night? I've never seen that. You have? Okay. Did you know there are some flowers that bloom only at night? There are moonflowers and night gladiolas too. Flowers you would never see if you never went out at night. And of course, there are animals that only come out at night too. For example, I love the dark. The light hurts my eyes, so that's why I sleep. "Well, I like the daytime," said the boy. "I can see to kick a ball. I like the hot sun at the beach. And when it's dark, it's scary. Or just boring." Boring? Do you think the dark is boring?
Yeah.
No. So the owl replied, "Boring, you say?" And she clearly had some opinions to express on this point. It took the child just a few seconds to figure out that he had something flying around his head, and he shrieked, "A bat!" And he started flailing his arms to knock the creature away, shrieking the whole time. Will you help me for just a moment? I'm going to ask Wendy to take over. I'm about to sneeze. And we are on at a bat, and I'm going
right.
to take care of myself.
Yes.
Ooh, that's what we do around here, right?
Help each other out, just like the owl and the boy. All right. The shape backed away, hovering just out of reach. Said, "Excuse me." That's just my way of saying hello. "Well, hello to you, Mr. Bat," said the owl. "This child was out here lost in the forest, and I'm helping him find his way home. You're not hurt, are you?" "Well," said the bat, "I'll probably have a bruise on my backside, but I think I'll live." "But you're a bat," said the child, "a creature of darkness. Weren't you trying to drink our blood?"
That's a vampire.
"No," said the bat, "but I've been eating lots of yummy insects who would have been biting you if I hadn't been around. Anyway, I couldn't help overhearing what you said about darkness being boring. If you want to come just a little bit out of your way, I can show you something really exciting." "My parents always told me never to go any place with strangers," said the boy. "Owl will vouch for me," said the bat. "We've known each other for years and years." Owl agreed that Mr. Bat was indeed an upstanding citizen. So the group went off the path and traveled through the deepest forest for what seemed like just a few minutes, and they came out onto a dark beach. "Here we are," said the bat. The child gazed out at the beach, lit very gently by moonlight, and thought, "This is certainly beautiful, even in the dark. But I wouldn't call it exciting." Just then there was movement in the sand, like a little bubble of sand rising up. Then there was another little bubble, and then another. It looked almost as if the beach in the area they were looking at was boiling. Then out of one of those little bubbles of sand popped a little rounded shape. "Looks like we got here at just the right time," said the bat. As they watched, more and more shadowy shapes came up out of the sand, and soon the child realized what he was seeing. Lots and lots of baby turtles, hundreds of them climbing out of the sand. This was truly exciting. Once each turtle shape pulled itself up out of the sand, it started crawling as fast as its legs could carry it toward the water. "When baby sea turtles hatch," said Owl in a sort of teacherly voice, "they need to find their way in the water. And they almost always do this at nighttime, because to find the water, they need darkness everywhere else to follow the moon and starlight reflecting off the water. Daytime sunlight is too bright and scattered everywhere." "Oh," said the child. As they turned to leave and head back toward the child's home, Owl spoke again, as if thinking aloud to herself. "You know who else loves the darkness besides all the nighttime plants and animals? Any idea?" "The moon and the stars love the darkness. That's when they can really shine. Oh, they're there in the daytime as well, hidden behind a wall of light. But when that wall goes down with the sun, the stars and the moon reveal their beauty." After what seemed like a very short time, the child and Owl left the forest and walked down a street that the child recognized as his own. He was very happy and relieved, but also a little sad to say goodbye to Owl, to whom he gave a very gentle hug and said thank you. He went into his home being extremely tired and got ready for bed right away. Before he went to bed, as a matter of habit, he bent down to turn on the nightlight that kept glowing through the night to keep the dark at bay. But before his fingers touched the switch of the nightlight, he smiled and pulled his hand away. He got into bed, pulled up the covers, and let the comforting arms of darkness soothe him to sleep. Do you think he's still scared of the dark? No. Thank you very much for listening to the story and for letting me jump in the middle. And now we will sing you guys downstairs, and I will go with you because we have too much fun downstairs. Anybody who ever wants to join us, let me know.
Thank you so much. First of all, I will not sit underneath peonies again and try to talk. I got a little allergied up. They are so beautiful, and I'm so grateful they're here. We need a little space, the two of us. So we have started a little new tradition this month of a rocks and water ritual for joys and concerns. Instead of lighting a candle, we've had a lot of people, so we want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to drop a rock in the water. If you want to take an extra one with you home and bring it back next week to drop in the water, you can carry this rock, and anything you need to tell it or give it this week, you can bring it back here. When you select your rock, it's good to hold it for a second. Tell it what you need. Let loose into this community and the water of this community what you've been holding in, what you need to set aside, what you need to celebrate, cry about, mark in time. After you drop a rock in the water, if you would like a hug from me, I will stand right there. Those are optional, however, available to all who needs one. So with that, I invite you forward to put a rock in the water. There's so much going on right now. There are so many things that people might not have gotten up for. Sometimes there's just not enough rocks in the world. So I'm adding a handful extra for all of us. Spirit of love and light that surrounds this community, hold each of us in our good times and our hard times. Let us know that this particular church is a place where we can bring our joys and sorrows without judgment. In fact, we must be careful to tell people what we need, or we get too much sometimes around here. My gratitude for the hugs and kindness and love in this place, may it be carried with all of us throughout the week like water. How neatly a cat sleeps. Sleeps with its paws and its posture, sleeps with its wicked claws, with its unfeeling blood, sleeps in all the rings, in a series of burnt circles which have formed oddly, geoly, as it stands on its sand-colored tail. I should like to sleep like a cat, with all the fur of time, with tongue rough as flint, with the dry sex of fire, and after speaking to no one, stretch myself over the world, over roofs and landscapes, with passion and desire, to hunt rats in my dreams. I have seen how the cat sleeps. It would undulate, how the night flowed through it like dark water, and at times it was going to fall, or possibly plunge into the bare, deserted snowdrifts. Sometimes it grew so much in sleep, like a tiger's great-grandfather, and it would leap in the darkness over rooftops, clouds, and volcanoes. Sleep, sleep, cat of the night, with the Episcopal ceremony and your stone-carved mustache, take care of our dreams. Control the obscurity of our slumbering prowess with your relentless heart and the great ruff of your tail. So, you are here and not sleeping in on Sunday. And I really appreciate that. And I really appreciate that in doing that, you're taking good care of your sleep patterns. You thought, oh, really, Reverend Mandy? Honestly, having a rhythm to your life helps you stay on track, keeps you happy. Taking time to be with people, to sing and let go a little bit is important. Sleep is definitely a thing that I cherish. There are all kinds of opinions about sleep. Some say the early bird gets the worm. I say, I don't eat worms. Why would I get up early? There is one person in this world who has disrupted sleep of humankind more than anyone else. Can anybody guess who that might be? Babies. That is close. That is close. This guy, Thomas Edison. Oh. Bad news, friend. Before Thomas Edison, the way that people lived without torchlight or gaslight was mostly they rose and with the sun and went to bed when it was dark, sleeping more in the winter than the summer. With the invention of the light bulb and with the electrification of the world just started getting going about 6 o'clock. It changed everything. It changed how people slept. It changed, in fact, what people needed for sleep. And we continue to be in that wave of technology today because many of us spend a good deal of time looking at little tiny screens that we hold right here, or big screens of our computer. We are thrown off by the pattern of that sort of looking like sunlight and not helping us. Anyway, this man despised sleep. He slept 3 hours a night. He thought it was lazy and useless, and he had so much life to live without sleeping, but he had a secret. He was a famous napper. Oh, look at this. Scandalous. Yes, he loved a nap. In fact, he was part of the school of creativity that napping actually launches part of the brain, the non-dreaming part before REM sleep, where you had enlightened ideas, and he took advantage of that. He was known to be found most anywhere in the lab taking a quick nap, from which he would jump up and get going again. This picture says, after 72 hours of continuous work, this is Edison napping. Now, Edison didn't necessarily agree with other great creative thinkers. Einstein, like myself, thought 10 hours of sleep was just maybe not enough. Salvador Dali was more in the Edison school of sleeping very little, painting a lot. But what these two had in common, and what I really want to talk to you today, is about a cat nap and the importance of a cat nap. Now, Salvador Dali would hold a spoon. He would find a most comfortable chair. He would hold a spoon over a metal plate, and he would drift off to sleep, and the second the spoon hit the plate, he would rise up with artistic inspiration. Einstein was known to use the same method with his pen. He would hold his pen, and when it dropped, I use the method with a book, where I fall asleep and a book smacks me in the face. In fact, the reason I don't read, everybody's like, do you have a Kindle or do you read on a, no, I have hit myself hard enough in the face with my iPad reading before falling asleep. But I choose to still read out of books because they don't hurt as bad when they crunch you in the face. We go on a path around here of living our best life and doing the most we can in the world, and I want to say something that is very anti-capitalist right now. Yeah. Amen. A good night's sleep is more important than productivity. A good night's sleep is more important than productivity. Why do you think that is? Oh, yeah. What do you say? You're not productive if you haven't slept well. I will put into example of a person who never slept as the former president, and he didn't always make choices that I like, and I would like to be forgiving and think maybe he just didn't sleep enough. Maybe he's just angry. Maybe he just needs a nap. I know I just need a nap sometimes, but the truth is there are different kinds of sleepers amongst us. I'm a bear. I mentioned that earlier. I'm going to read through these so in case people can't see the first one's a bear, and it gets up and goes to bed with the sun when the sun rises and sets. The next one underneath is a wolf. Trouble waking in the morning, only gets going at night. A lion loves an early start and an early night. Mornings are your jam. Dolphins struggle to fall asleep and stay asleep, often feel tired. Cats, on the other hand, know how to sleep in the most interesting of places. Actually, I'll go back here so you can see this for a minute. We learned last summer a lot about personality types and how we all have different personality types. Well, if we all are different personalities, we also have different needs for sleep. We have different needs for food and rest. I want to uphold the idea that some folks in this room do not rest by sleeping. Some people rest by running marathons. I have a friend like this. I wholly support her that she hiked a whole marathon last weekend. I just watched from Facebook. I didn't go. I can't imagine walking 26 miles, but I am so glad people do that. People rest by playing music, by doing art, by eating nourishing food, by drinking water. People can rest by simply closing their eyes for a moment and letting go. I used to have a lot of trouble falling asleep. I used to probably be a dolphin. The reason the dolphin is picked for this is they float, and they have to float in such a way that their air holes at the top of the water to sleep. And even the mother dolphins are so nurturing that they hold the babies up to take naps. That's very sweet. But anybody who has to remember and take care of breathing all the time is likely not sleeping super deep. Because when you do, you would sink. So that's about dolphins. Bears hibernate. Bears, often like myself, will wake up at 7 o'clock every morning, but I am not fit to be around humans until well after coffee time. I sometimes will get up and be at work at 11. That's my jam. It's who I am. It's my clock. It's how I've always been. I was the most annoying baby. I heard babies were disruptive for sleeping. I've also experienced that. My mother said, who is an early person, that she thought there was something wrong with me. As a tiny child, I would sleep till 11. And then I would stay up till 1, and she still thought something was wrong with me because I had that rhythm. My grandparents fell asleep. They were farmers, and they used the light in the dark. There was always a window in my Granny and Gramps' bedroom where they could see the sun rising, and they used that as their alarm clock. Lots of bears don't use alarm clocks. We just go on the natural rhythm of ourselves. Let's see, who else do we have? We have wolves. So I know people like this who are just not morning people, and that is some of us. I think there are some wolves in the room, I might know. And the lions, I am married to a lion. A lion and a bear doesn't seem like a great combination, but sometimes it works. You know, I find that relationship patience with people who have different sleep patterns than me can be a challenge. It is hard to be friendly in the morning when somebody wants to chop wood and you just want to drink coffee, right? It's hard when after dinner my spouse wants to go rest and I want to go garden then. You know, we're just on a different schedule. Back to Einstein. He said that he despised sleep, but he had some pretty peculiar and interesting and supportive sayings about sleep. This one made me laugh so hard. When asked how he slept, he said he slept like a bug in a barrel of morphine. And I'm like, I didn't know that. Okay, all right. That sounds like a good night's sleep. So a man named Orson Swett Martin set out to discover the secrets to Edison's success by camping in the vicinity of the inventor's New Jersey lab for 3 weeks, awaiting the chance to interview him. He asked, Edison is 53 at this time. Do you have regular hours, Mr. Edison? Oh, he said, I do not work hard now. I come to the laboratory around 8 o'clock every day and go home at at 6. And then I study or work on some problems until 11, which is my hour for bed. 14 or 15 hours a day can scarcely be called loafing, the interviewer suggested. Well, Edison replied, for 15 years I've worked on an average of 20 hours a day. When I was 47 years old, he estimated his true age at 82, since he only got 8 to 10 hours of sleep a week. Edison sometimes worked 60 consecutive hours on one problem, and then after a long sleep, he was perfectly refreshed for another 60 hours. Isn't that interesting, though, the idea that holding back the amount of sleep our body needs would create aging? Maybe Edison was talking about he got to live a double life because he was awake so much. I expect he was just as tired as an 83-year-old, probably. But what's interesting about our bodies is, ironically, when you're older, you don't need as much sleep necessarily. Things start to change. Your rhythm starts to change. In fact, there's a sleep cycle. We have a couple sleep cycles we go through, and one pretty much ends at 3 a.m. And that is another time if I wake up, I'm done for. I am just awake. Has anybody woken up like around 3 a.m.? It has to do with, there's a transition. It's usually when we have to get up and go to the bathroom or get a drink of water or something like that. Some of us are pretty good at going back to sleep after that. Others are not. The older we become, the shorter those cycles on each side are. Babies scatter their cycles out. That's why they nap and sleep through the night sometimes. My child did not sleep through the night till she was 10, so I'm not really sure that is a good argument. I also want to say, and I am not throwing any shade, that I noticed some yawning while I'm talking about this. No, you won't believe what happened to me this week. Like, I didn't even know I was going to tell you this. Andre knows I couldn't stay awake and read the stuff about sleeping. I kept falling asleep over and over and over again. I would be like waking up, oh, it's the next episode of so-and-so's Journey of Sleep. And I was like, what happened? I think that paying attention to what you need helps make you your best self and love the world more easily. Nobody likes to be grouchy because there's lack of sleep. In fact, I would say, and I would invite you into what this cat might think, which is the revolution will be well rested, y'all. And with that, I invite you to get a good night's sleep this week. Or take naps. Whatever it is, take good care of yourself. It is a key to a healthy life to get a decent amount of sleep. If you are disrupted in your sleep or you're not a good sleeper, ask somebody for help. There's only so much, some kind of weird tea you can drink to sleep at night. But I will say that, like the routine of coming to church on Sunday, having a clear sleep routine where you let go of screens the last hour or so is important to anyone, no matter their age. Tiny infant through 150. We need those rituals. That is probably why you're here today. And with that, the revolution will be well rested. Do I have a social justice moment? Sandy.
Stand back here so I can. Hi.
Oh, are you on your tiptoes?
Am I too? I'm okay. I don't know. You can hear me in the back? They say yes, so that's good. Well, this is the last social justice moment about water the end of the month. So we're switching next month. You'll be hearing more social justice comments from somebody else. I'm Sandy Kurtz, she, her. The first week I talked about water as social justice for fish. We need that, those indicator species that tell us whether water is clean or clean enough for them to survive. Last week, I gave you some information about wetlands and waterways and the importance of having more of them, not less, due to climate change. And here in our area, it's flooding that we're concerned about. And of course, those are nature's nurseries, the wetlands. And I told you about the unfortunate legislation that's pending that could take us backwards and allow more destruction of wetlands. So today I want to share some information with you about water at home and some conservation tips. Access to water and sanitation are recognized by the United Nations as human rights, fundamental to everyone's health, dignity, and prosperity. Water is life. You've heard that. And you've also heard the expression, water, water everywhere, not a drop to drink. This from the rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. Remember that? First, let me tell you that we do have clean water enough to drink. A few people around here get their water from wells, but mostly we get them from 3 local water utilities. The East Side Utility draws their water from Harrison Bay area and the river, Tennessee River, and Hickson Utility gets their water from Cave Spring wells, so underground waters. And Tennessee American Water Company, which is by far the largest utility here in this area, gets its water a little bit, still from the Tennessee River, a little bit down from South Chickamauga Creek. As it flows, it empties into the river, and it's got a lot of sediment in it, but so you can almost see that plume. It hugs the shore going downstream to the Tennessee American Water intake. And so it is said that about 2/3 of your drinking water from Tennessee American Water Company is from South Chickamauga Creek watershed. 2/3. So it's important to try and keep the streams that feed into the river clean as you can. That's what they call tertiary treatment before it gets to the water place, where they do pretty remarkable work in keeping water clean. And so I want you to know that your water around here is clean, your drinking water. There are strict regulations in place. They test the contaminants that are requested for them to test. That doesn't mean that they're necessarily testing all of everything, but basically your water is in compliance with all the regulations. Now, they don't test for everything. They don't test for radionuclides in the water, and they test every 3 years. And Watts Bar nuclear plant is leaking tritium into the water every day. So that's a bit of a concern. You can see the test results if you look on their websites. Each one of those has, and they're required to have an annual water quality report that shows what they did on the testing. So why is water that comes into homes often not clean? Usually it's not the water itself. It has to do with the old leaden pipes that sometimes in low economic areas of people of color, those homes, they have the old pipes and the infrastructure that hasn't been repaired. So that is a justice issue. Sometimes it's cost. You pay a minimum bill, water bill, minimum charge, no matter whether you drink the water or not, or use the water or not. There's that minimum charge. They'll tell you for equipment that they need some basic amount of money coming in no matter what. So if water is a human right, this question is, should it be free for all? What about the water in the plastic bottles? Surely you've heard about plastics and recycling, 1s and 2s, and I've got a 5 on this one, what do I do with it? All that concern. You know plastic never really goes away. It breaks down into smaller and smaller pieces. So we got microplastics and nanoplastics, all smaller and smaller, pretty soon small, so small that you can't really filter it out. So that's an issue. It is in our water, and I'm caution you about bottled water. First, we have to figure out what to do with the plastic after you drink the water out of it. But the bottled water is about 2 times the microplastic level in bottled water than in your tap water. So there's some in your tap water, but bottled water is far higher. So the thing to do there, I guess, is to avoid the bottled water altogether and drink filtered tap water at your home. That would be good. And how do plastics get in the water to start with? This is going to be a surprise to many of you. Our washing machines are a major source of plastic pollution. Did you know that? Synthetic textiles and plastic fibers are the single greatest contributors to engineered microplastics that go into the ocean. So after your washing machine washes, it shakes off the fibers from these synthetic fabrics, and it goes into the water, down into the stream, eventually into the ocean. And about 35% of all synthetic fibers end up in the ocean. About 1 million tons. 1 million tons, the total volume in the ocean. So polyester, nylon, acrylics, other synthetic fibers, all are plastics, make up 60% of the fabric content of our clothes. So best thing maybe go back to cotton clothing or wash less frequently. Get a filter for your washing machine. You can get those. So we are sending microplastics out into the water, into the ocean, and eventually every corner of the earth. So there are health impacts from drinking plastic. Hello. It's been detected in gastrointestinal tract of marine animals and also human intestine. And most recently in a study, they located microplastic fragments in human placentas. So reproductive issues are involved. Lots more research coming on that. So what to do? Well, you can make your own laundry detergent if you're up to it. Castile soap, baking soda, and washing soda. Mix those all together, maybe put a little fragrant oil in it or something, and you've got clean detergent that does not have microplastics in it. So you can use that. Do not use detergent pods. Those little things dissolve in the water. They are plastic. They have microplastics in them. So try and find detergents that are hopefully microplastic free, and you can find them searching on the web. You can find these things, and they also are not packaged in the plastic bottles, the detergent plastic bottles. So avoid those. You can find things that come in cardboard boxes. I think even locally, somebody told me Bluff Soap Bar, is that the name of the store? So something like that. They're selling things that are friendlier, more earth friendly. So if 35% of all the microplastics end up in the ocean after traveling through our streams and are eaten by plankton and fish and go up the food chain to we end up eating seafood, likely got microplastics in it. So the fish don't like that. And neither do we. We've come full circle. I told you about fish justice the first time. Now we're worrying about fish that come to us and we're eating it and we're sending the microplastics also back out to them. So this is a complete circle. We shouldn't like that, and just remember, we all live downstream. Thank you.
Can you switch the slide for me? There we go. It's time for our offertory. It's a time when you have an opportunity to share what you have. If you have a whole bunch of money you just wanted to give us today, that would be really great. I always have to ask. It's my job. No, the programming around here is so important, and being a place where there is an open opportunity to celebrate liberal religion in Chattanooga is critical. And if you have something to give today, wonderful. If you don't, the plate can pass you by. This is a place of love and justice, and we appreciate your contribution to that. With that, the offering will be gratefully received. Please join me in our offertory response. We give these gifts freely, committed to our mission to care, create beloved community, awaken hearts and minds, resist injustice and act with compassion, embrace life and care for the earth. To this work, we dedicate our offerings. I'd like to invite everyone to rise in body and or spirit and join us in our closing hymn. We're going to do two. It's going to be first me, and then the second verse will be us, so we're going to sing it a little bit different today. So here we go with Spirit of Life, number 123.
Compassion,
seated. First of all, I must be greedy because I kept singing, "Come unto me," so I want it. So what? So I want to tell you a couple things that are going on. I want to tell you that so much is going on in this community that it is just breathtaking, and it just gives me so much joy. So next week, though, I'm going to be gone. I'm not going to be gone. It's for a bummer reason. I'm going to go travel to West Virginia to officiate one of my best friend's memorials. Ugh. And, life is just challenging sometimes. She was somebody who I practiced what I preached a lot with. She was a little hard to love towards the last part of her life, but she was so important. She introduced me to Andre Goheen, so I want to just ask for all of you to hold me in your heart next week, because on Saturday night I will be preaching in a Pentecostal church. I'm wearing my robes, y'all. It's going to be, and when I talked to her brother, who's a dear friend too, he said, "I don't know anybody who could do this, preach to Pentecostals and metalheads besides you." So we'll see how I do. But that is the point of this place, is surrounding each other and supporting each other. So when I ask our wonderful Earth-Centered Spirituality folks who are doing the May Day service next week, or celebration next week, people just really reached out and helped, and so that's really comforting. You all will be in great hands next week. There'll be a pet blessing and a maypole and all the things. I will be in my mountains that I call home, so I will be resting, but I will also miss this place. When I get back, here's the trick. When I get back on May 12th, May 12th is our flower communion. So on flower communion, and we'll get people to remind you this next week, how that works is you bring flowers, and then you take different flowers home with you. It's very lovely. That's the first part. It's like a 3-part. Are we ready? Second part, it will be New Member Sunday. I have talked to so many of you one-on-one who are interested in joining. I have a clipboard right here. If I could get your all's name on it, I might give it to Lynn, who's our board rep. Oh, Lynn, can you be responsible? Oh, you sat down. You weren't supposed to sit down. Anyway, Lynn can get you this clipboard. If you're interested in joining this church and what membership is, please let me know, even if you're not sure. Now, I want to just clarify what membership means here really quickly. Membership is like registering to vote around here. It really is. It's a commitment of time, talent, and treasure, and what it means most significantly is that you get to vote in the annual meeting. Now, membership doesn't mean you belong here or you don't belong here. There is a much looser construct than that. You are welcome to pledge your time, talent, and treasure without ever becoming a member. We know, because of some people's religious trauma, that joining a church feels kind of icky. I promise not to embarrass you, and I promise to talk to you more before we get to the New Member Sunday celebration on the 12th, if you're interested. We have a book that is traditionally signed. It's part of Unitarian Universalism. You write your name in a book. It's like a guest book. I ran across the book with Rich in it the other day in the office. Sometimes I'll run across some of the old membership books, and in that glass case in the back, there's the membership book from the 18 and 1900s, like some really old membership books of our community. So it's been a tradition for many years. Membership doesn't mean that somebody's going to tell you you have to give in a certain way. Membership is an invitation into citizenship. It is also never, ever, and I want to state this again, required for belonging to this community. So that's next Sunday, and that's so what? Between now and then, remember to take good naps so you get along with people better. I swear it works. And remember that there are all kinds of ways of sleeping, and be a little more friendly to the people who don't get up at 7 in the morning next time. Dadey and I would ask, and Steve. And if you need some consultation on how to deal with someone like me, Andre Goheen's serving coffee somewhere, and he can give you some advice about how to get along with a sleeper like myself. And with that, we will extinguish our chalice. Will you say the words along with me? We extinguish this flame to keep the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts, share with all the world. Announcements. Me again. This is me again. She goes to church here.
Yeah, I do. It's always me. I'm Jen, she, her. And next week, yes, we'll be having our May Day celebration. It's in honor of the pagan holiday Beltane. And the celebration will be after the service, and it'll be out there in the playground area. It's going to be fun for all ages. We have a read-aloud story and cookie decorating for the young and the young at heart. We'll have some finger sandwiches there for you to kind of stave off getting hangry, because it's not fun to dance around a maypole if you're hangry. If your family wants more to eat, you're welcome to bring things, pack some snacks for yourself. We'll be talking a lot more. We are leading the service next week, so we're going to talk to you a lot more about what Beltane is, so I'll save a lot of this stuff for then. But we are also going to do, we're going to make some anklets with bells on them for that maypole dance. We are going to celebrate the transition from spring to summer. We're going to celebrate love, and a lot of these things that Beltane represents. We will also be doing a pet blessing, and that is also traditional at this time. And so if you have a pet that likes being with lots of people and lots of kids and food and dancing, if that sounds like your pet, you can bring your actual pet.
What kind of pet is that? A turtle?
A goldfish, yeah. We'll have shady play. If you want to bring your goldfish in a bowl, we'll put them in the shade so they don't boil, okay? If that does not sound like your pet, you can bring a representation of your pet. You can bring a food bowl, you can bring a collar, you can bring a picture of your pet, whatever you want to bring of your pet, and we can bless that. You can also bring something from a pet that has passed. If you have a friend that has gone over the Rainbow Bridge, you can bring something from them too. So we'll have a lot of fun. We had a great time last year. We hope that you'll join us, and you'll see me again next week.
Thank you. I see Dave with a poster. I expect he's going to say something cool.
I've got something a little less joyful to talk about here. You'll notice in your program that there's a Standing Out Chattanooga that happens Monday at 4:30 at Miller Park downtown. I want to present what we're going to be doing for the next couple of weeks and what we've been doing this month as well. We are standing out for the situation in Gaza. This is a nonpartisan effort as opposed to what's going on some college campuses right now. We're standing out in support of the women and children who are under extreme duress in Gaza, and the situation of ethnic cleansing that's going on, and the whole ball of wax. We have a dozen signs, bring your own if you wish. There are 4 of us from this church, including my partner, Judith, who stands out, and there's some people from other churches, including the Friends, who stand out. This is at the corner of Market and MLK downtown. We get a lot of honks from cars driving by. If you're feeling as devastated in your heart as I am about the situation that's going on in Gaza, and you just don't know what to do about it because it's a war a long ways away. Our country is sending bombs to Israel, and we're complicit in this, and we have to make a statement. So if you feel like you want to do something, join us Monday at 4:30. Thank you.
And I just want to re-emphasize that the Unitarian Universalist Association's take on this is that we are calling for ceasefire and release of all prisoners immediately and access to humanitarian aid. So just know that we're with all y'all and we love everyone, and boy do we hate for someone to be hungry or scared, right? So let's get the love in the world and show Chattanooga that there are people that care about this. So thank you, Dave. I know that was a serious note. Any other more jolly? Oh, shoo.
You want something more jolly?
Please, let's end with a more jolly announcement.
Skip just reminded me on the is it the first and third?
Yes.
First and third Wednesdays at 10 o'clock, we have coffee hour. And it's a chance to get together and talk about different topics. And what I enjoy about it is that we have folks that join us of all different age groups and generations. And we find a lot of wisdom with each other in our views, sharing our ideas, and just kind of getting together for support and fellowship on different topics. So if you find yourself with time this Wednesday at 10 o'clock, please come join us.
I have to admit that these groups that meet, the small group that meets on Wednesday, this group, potluck, all these times when people are having these amazing conversations, I just want you all to know you should be very careful. You'll wind up in a sermon. But I enjoy, and I walk through, I can't walk past that coffee hour because it feels like church, and I always want to be in the middle of church. So thank you for that leadership. Our work here is ended. May our work loving the world and being well rested begin.